All right, today we're going to unpack a really big idea, one that could totally reshape how we live. We're talking about the shift to a circular economy.
So let's just start with a simple question, but a really powerful one. What if our trash wasn't actually trash? Seriously, what if all the stuff we throw out, old gadgets, packaging, you name it, wasn't the end of the line, but actually the raw material for something new? That's the mindset we're diving into today. You know, for more than a century, our entire economy is run on a pretty simple playbook. Take, make, use, and dispose. We pull resources out of the ground, we manufacture things, we use them for a little while, and then we throw them away. It's a one-way street, and it leads straight to a dead end. And that one-way street, it's got some pretty serious consequences. This linear model means we're constantly draining our natural resources, creating mountains of waste, and polluting our ecosystems. It even makes our supply chains super vulnerable. But that last point, loss of economic value, that's huge. Every piece of trash is basically lost money and wasted material. So if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, that brings us to the circular alternative. And let's be clear, this isn't about making a few small adjustments. This is a whole new vision for our economy.
So what exactly is a circular economy? Well, at its core, it's a system that's designed to do three big things. First, you design waste and pollution out of the system from the get-go. Second, you keep products and materials in use for as long as possible at their highest possible value. And third, you actually work to regenerate natural systems instead of just taking from them.
So how on earth do we pull that off? Well, it all starts with the very first principle, design. You have to think about the end of a product's life right at the very beginning. We're talking about making things easy to repair, using parts that can be swapped out and upgraded, and choosing materials we know can either be recycled or returned safely back to nature.
The second principle is about thinking bigger. It's about the whole system. This is where you create pathways to keep those valuable materials circulating. It's also where you see a huge shift from everyone owning a product to people just having access to a service. And a really key piece here is reverse logistics. That's a fancy term for creating an efficient way to get products back from people so they can be reused. Oh, and the whole thing needs to be powered by renewable energy, of course.
Okay, this all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But how do we actually get there from here? Well, you don't just flip a switch. It takes a clear roadmap to make this revolution happen.
And that roadmap usually has 4 key stages. First, you figure out your baseline. You got to understand the messy linear system you're in right now. Then, you start small. You pilot circular ideas to test them out. Once you find something that works, you scale it up. And finally, the goal is to fully integrate these new models into the broader economy.
Let's zoom in on that second stage, the pilot, because it's absolutely crucial. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's all about taking one specific product or one service and proving that this circular idea can actually work in the real world.
Let's use a smartphone as a perfect example. Right now, it's pretty linear. You use it, it breaks or gets old, you toss it. But in a circular pilot, you design it so the screen or battery can be easily replaced. The company that made it has a take-back program to get all those precious metals back. Or even better, maybe you don't even buy the phone. You lease it as a service, so you always have the latest tech and zero e-waste is created when you're done.
Okay, so once you've got successful pilots like that smartphone example, the next big challenge is to scale. This is where you go from changing one product line to changing the entire market.
And a huge part of scaling is policy. We need governments to change the rules of the game. For example, extended producer responsibility. That basically means the company that made a product is responsible for it for its entire life. Or things like deposit refund schemes, or even just national right-to-repair laws that let you fix your own stuff. Policy creates the structure for the whole market to shift.
And right alongside policy, businesses have to get innovative. This means new business models, like the subscription and leasing ideas we just talked about. It could also look like amazing buyback and refurbishment programs, or creating platforms where people can just share tools and equipment instead of everyone needing to own their own. This isn't just about being green, it's about creating entirely new ways to make money. So we have the roadmap, we have the strategies to scale, but what actually fuels this whole thing? What's the engine that powers this massive transition?
Well, for one, it takes a lot of investment, and that money comes from all over the place. We're talking green bonds, public-private partnerships, government grants, and a growing number of impact investors who are specifically looking to put their money into projects that create positive change.
It's a whole new financial ecosystem built to power this shift.
But, maybe the most important fuel of all is just collaboration. This whole thing is impossible if everyone stays in their own little bubble. It needs everybody. Governments, companies, recyclers, innovators, and, this is so important, it needs consumers. It needs us, all working together to actually close the loop.
So, I want to leave you with this one last thought to chew on. Our current linear system. Nobody really designed it to be this wasteful. It just kind of happened as a side effect of the Industrial Revolution. The real question now is, what could we achieve if we actually designed our economy with intention, with purpose? What could we build then?